So I just played Destiny 2's beta, and I want to talk about it, because it's the internet. But before I can talk about the beta, we must cover how the original game was before we talk about how the beta is. So Destiny 1. I think the one thing that most people can say about the game that they did enjoy was the shooting. I don't think anyone has ever said, oh, the shooting just sucks in Destiny. Oh, I'm sure there's probably a couple individuals that have said that, but I would say for the most part, people that have issues with it or enjoy it, blah, 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 have said that they enjoyed the shooting in that game. And I will say that the shooting is definitely one of the previous game's strengths. Destiny 1's base game had two main issues in regards to the story missions. The world was interesting, but the manner in which the narrative was provided to the player was not clear. Everything was spoken in vague terms, and it prevented us, the players, from really digging deeper into the world and narrative. I mean, even Bungie came out and they said they have no clue what the darkness is. They have no idea what and they wrote the game. They wrote the story and they have no idea what it is. At least they were in the same boat as us, because I have no clue what it was. We all looked everywhere for some clue on what the darkness was, or is, or when's. We're never going to find out. Another issue was that most of the base game missions were more like missions that you would play in between the bigger battles. The problem with base game Destiny is that it had very few big fights and poorly implemented storytelling. Not all missions need to be epic scale, but you need to have enough impactful missions to create that sense of an epic conflict. You can dial down the tone a bit following the bigger missions to allow the story and the players time to breathe and set up the next big encounter. But base game Destiny was full of these breather missions and not enough epic encounters, thus making the campaign feel like it never really built to anything memorable. Combined with the poor storytelling, the player didn't have that story motivation that would be present in a more improved game. The Destiny expansions, and more specifically The Taken King, was a step in the right direction for the game. It gave the players and characters in the game a clear villain to defeat, not the darkness. The story was simple: stop the bad guy, and this improved the storytelling by keeping it simple. It also helped that the script improved characters that were present in the base game that now felt like, well, people and not quest givers. Comedy was thrown into the mix to keep the tone light and fun while still maintaining that sense of urgency and that there's stakes. It didn't hurt either that the story gave a lot of attention to Nathan Fillion's character Cade, and the story allowed him to provide the players with memorable moments and laughs. And who doesn't love Nathan Fillion? With the story now more focused than the base game, and an opponent the player can identify as a threat, the gameplay sections improved. There were many memorable missions within the Taken King's campaign. Out of the gate, you can tell the missions improved right from the first mission within the Taken King's questline. It had that epic set-piece kind of Halo feel that you're accustomed to if you've played Bungie games before. Another mission seemed to end shortly, but then with a twist out of nowhere, didn't end where the player expected. So Bungie then subverted player expectations, and I really like that. Finally, the conclusion of the arc was satisfying, with a big boss fight against the Taken King. Yes, there were those breather missions sprinkled throughout the Taken King questline, but those were used in a better manner to build to the next big fight, instead of just permeating the whole experience with just breather missions. You would have build, then climax, build, then climax. That was a great way to do it. Now let's finally talk about the beta. So the opening story mission to the beta has the same tone as the Taken King. Cade is being funny, and there's a big baddie you need to take down. It's pretty cool to spend the first half of the mission fighting through the tower, which was a social area in the first Destiny 1 game where you would get quests and items and cash-in, stuff like that. So it was nice seeing familiar areas, but except you were fighting through them instead of just having a nice jaunt through them. The cutscenes and narrative provide good purpose to the action. The bad guys are destroying your home, and you want to now shoot them because you like your home. And really, the bad guys are destroying a main area from the first game. So I don't know if this is Bungie's way of leaving Destiny 1 behind and moving forward, or maybe I'm just reading way too much into it. The shooting bits are fun, and the mission is very forward moving. There's a great sense of urgency. In between shooting, there's little character moments where they'll do something really cool, and quite frankly, I just thought it was awesome. Like Cade will show up, he'll have a nice little introduction, and then he'll shoot the crap out of all the enemies. I thought that was neat. Really, it was nice to just see these three characters actually do something in this game, as opposed to the first game where they just stood there and gave quests. And they were more robots than people. With this mission, these characters felt way more integrated into the narrative than they had been before. Instead of them barking orders to you, it felt like they were participating within the fight that you were actually in. I really like this. I don't know, it just made it feel grander, more engaging. So good job there, Bungie, on that. There is a section where you have to defend against waves of enemies, which is very entertaining and like a better version of all those hold the location missions from the first Destiny where Nolan North hacks the door. In the beta, you're defending against waves of enemies as people are being evacuated, so this gives a decent reason as to the importance of holding the line. Plus, it's way more compelling than waiting for a door to unlock. Following this part, we get another cutscene, very awesome cutscene, and I thought the mission was over, but the mission continues as the level shifts to a spaceship, and the player must deactivate the shields from inside the spaceship. You go do your shield thing, and the mission ends by introducing the main bad guy, Gary, as he yells at you and quotes Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. Then, like any intimidating villain, he gingerly pokes you with his big toe and you fall to your death. I'm not lying, that is how they end the first story mission. He pokes you with his big toe and you just fall to your death. It's kind of funny. Now, all kidding aside, overall, I enjoyed the story mission. I felt it was a good intro to the main game. It starts off way stronger and grander than the first Destiny. There's a clear enemy and there's a sense of urgency. I like how the mission shifts from two different locations, and then cutscenes are used to then break up the action. I mean, if every story mission is like this in Destiny 2's campaign, it's gonna be really awesome. As a whole, the mission was better than base game Destiny's first mission, and on par with some of Taken King's great ones. But I don't think it surpasses any of Taken King's missions. But some of Destiny 2's full game missions might do just that. We only have a few more months to wait and see. Now let's talk about the co-op strikes. I always found the co-op strikes to be rather enjoyable in Destiny 1 and its expansions. These missions were fun, like climactic set pieces that you got to enjoy with friends. So the beta has one strike available, and it was overall a lot of fun. In the strike, you work your way through by the numbers firefights, and you have to tangle with some environmental hazard. The boss was the true highlight of this strike. It was a fun fight. You had to fight this kind of oversized robot, and what was neat is throughout the fight, the ground would keep disappearing and changing the environment in which you were fighting in. So this really prevented like the scenery from getting boring, and I really enjoyed the change of pace for it. I thought it was cool. It kept my eyes really engaged and I was in the fight. What I also noticed too is as you kept damaging the robot, I noticed that it was missing an arm and its head towards the end of the fight. So I don't know if there's some type of, if we just kept shooting it and its left arm would be gone, or its left arm is always gone after a certain amount of health is gone. I don't know. But either way, I did like that as you kept damaging the robot, it did show that it was actually getting damaged, as if it was in a fierce fight with us. And it was really intense. It was overall pretty good strike. Now let's talk a little bit about the multiplayer. In the original game, the multiplayer was a lot of fun, and out of the gate, it was really good. Base game Destiny's multiplayer, I mean, that's really where you got a lot of your value in. Especially because all the classes have different powers to them, so they're just fun, especially when you're hitting other opposing players with your powers. The multiplayer in this game seems a lot faster in terms of the speed. They give you 2 maps with 2 match types to play with. The first one they give you is Control, which plays like the last Control. You try to take 3 points and you get to the highest score, whichever team wins. The new mode that they showed off is Countdown, where one team has to defend 2 locations and the other team has to then try and set a bomb at one of those locations. You play a couple rounds and then best team wins. This was a lot of fun, though I will say that you're going to want to have friends or like people with working ears and can communicate with their mouths so you can really enjoy this mode, because this is going to really require a lot of teamwork to it. You can't just, oh, I'm just gonna take a nice little jaunt and just shoot the shit out of everything. You can't. You got to kind of work as a team. I noticed as playing as the team that had to set the bomb, a lot of my teammates wouldn't set the bomb. They just play it like team deathmatch, and I'm like, this is not team deathmatch. Like, it would start with a T. This is countdown. It's different. Reading's hard. All right, let's sum this video up. I am happy I played the beta. I enjoyed that they continued with their improvements from the Taken King with the beta. If the story keeps up the quality of the beta, it will hopefully be a memorable experience for the right reasons. I am cautiously optimistic about the release of the full game, and I hope for the best for Bungie. I feel like credit should be given to a studio that released a game that had flaws, and the studio is willing to admit those flaws and then try and make an attempt to fix them and refine them within the sequel. I do like that they are making efforts to make a better game. So let's hope Destiny 2 brings the variety out of the box this time too. And better yet, if you have played the beta, let me know what you think of the beta in the comments below, and something you really enjoyed about the first Destiny. And maybe something that you'd like to see improved in the sequel. Let me know in the comments below. Let's start a discussion, a little typey. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, because it's fun to hit buttons, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.